Hey guys, Ronnie here. This week's episode is brought to you by NelsieSpencer.com. Everything Nelsie Spencer and Losing It is on NelsieSpencer.com. There you can find links to Nelsie's book, movie, and classes. Take Nelsie's writing classes or get one-on-one coaching and sharpen your writing skills. Take classes like screenwriting class and novel writing first draft. If you'd like to support the show, grab a couple things at the Losing It merch store where we have mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, hats like this one, the one I'm wearing, and much more. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out links to NelsieSpencer.com and other things such as the links to our equipment we use and all our social handles in the description down below. And if you want to contact us, tell us you love us, hate us, want to tell us you're losing a story and possibly have Nelsie read it on the show, email us at losingitcontact@gmail.com.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. If you got a story, we don't care if it's happy or gory, so come share your losing it story with us. Hi guys. Hi gals. Hi purrs. Hi people. Hi folks. Welcome to Losing It with me, Nelsie Spencer, the podcast where guests come on and they tell a losing it story. And I'm really happy because I have managed to force my editor to be my co-host. I did it. I made him. I'm like, come on, do it, EJ. I believe in you. Because one of the things that I love is that since I started Losing It back in 2019, I've had a co-host that's a millennial. And as a matter of fact, when I first started, I was 62 and Lindsay was 26. So 26 and 26 equals 62, right? That's not right. But somehow the math worked. Oh, that's what it was. 62. If you invert 62 and 26, right? That's what it was. So we had this beautiful synergy. Then I had Ronnie. Ronnie has moved on. He's so busy with other podcasts. He left me in the lurch. But now I have EJ, who is also my editor. And he is also in the Philippines because I only work with Filipinos, apparently. But his name is EJ Del Rosario, and he's my co-host. Hi, EJ.
Hello, yes. Hey, how's everybody doing?
I told him not to be nervous because we're just chatting. Am I right?
We're just just two people having, casual conversation.
We're just hanging.
It's nothing.
Well, here's what happened. We were talking and figuring out what's my intro outro going to be. And I have a dog named Callie, Kali, and you have a cat named
Cali, which is spelled Cali.
And I said, well, why? Is that for California? And he's like, yeah. Where are you from, EJ?
I'm from Torrance. I grew up in Torrance, California with my dad. And
you grew up in Torrance, California, which is like a mile from where I grew up, probably really 5 miles from where I actually grew up in Palos Verdes in Rolling Hills. So that's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah, that's why I named my cat Callie, because I've been really homesick. And I was supposed to go back to California, but COVID happened. So now I'm stuck here.
That's really tough.
Pretty much.
That's really tough.
It is.
Yeah. So is your dad still in Torrance?
No, he actually went back here too, because he just did not want to be alone. And so he went back here, and now we're all just here. Different houses. I mean, I've got my own place. My mom's got her own place. My siblings have their own places. Everybody's all grown up, pretty much.
Everybody's all grown up.
Yeah.
But now everybody's back in the Philippines.
Exactly.
Do you feel like? So you were in the Philippines from when to when?
I got here.
I mean, I meant to say, when were you in California? From when to when? Were you born there?
Oh no! I went there when I was I think 4 years old until 2013. I forgot how old I was there. It's been ages.
I can't do the math. How old are you now?
I'm 25 now.
I love these millennials. I love it.
Yeah, come on.
Ronnie's 25. You're 25. My son's 25. People give millennials a bad rap. I happen to really like them. Well, and you know who really gets a bad rap now? Boomers, right? Like suddenly we're just assholes. It's like, I protested the Vietnam War. Fuck you. You know what I mean? I started recycling
in the 70s. So poor EJ, right now it's, what is it? 5:45 in the morning there?
Yes, it is.
It is.
The sun is about to come up. Actually, it's already up. It's just about to just bloom in any moment now. Yeah.
Nice. So his life is completely upside down thanks to working with me, I guess. Well, you just California's waiting for you. It's still there. It's still beautiful. And I'm going there in 2 days. I'm going there.
Is this for your birthday?
Yeah.
It's for your birthday, right?
I mean, I'm really going there to visit my daughter. And coincidentally, I'm going on my birthday. So, yeah. So I'm very excited. Very excited.
So you're planning to celebrate your birthday with your daughter in
Yeah.
Cali?
In Cali, going to Cali. Going to have some vegan food in Cali, which probably there's a vegan restaurant like everywhere,
most likely.
On every friggin' corner, right?
This is what I need here. I wish they had more of that here in the Philippines, but it's just, you can't be healthy here, apparently.
Apparently.
You just can't.
Apparently not. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's just...
No. Well, and it's funny because that does bring us to the guest we have today, because we have, as being a vegan, come this Thanksgiving, I will have been a vegan for 2 years. And
well done.
Once you become a vegan, you just start looking at everything differently, right? First of all, in the US, it's let's put it this way. In New Jersey, it's incredibly easy to be a vegan. Not that there's great vegan restaurants, but you can go to the store and get a vegan frozen, like fake whatever. It's very easy, but not so in the Philippines.
No, it's horrible here. I mean, they do have some plant-based alternatives, but it's still I don't know. It's just not even if you taste it here, it's just not. You definitely feel like it's not 100% plant. There's got to be some sketchy shit in this food.
Even though they're telling you it's plant-based, they're like, wink, wink.
They could be lying. They could be like, oh yeah, this is 100% plant, but right in the back of their heads is like, well, we got to save a little bit of money, so we're just gonna put a little bit of meat in there just to fill it up a bit,
or just a little bit of lard, maybe. We'll just cook it in a little bit of lard.
And they I don't know. It's just not. No, I'm not trusting fast food.
So here's how I lassoed EJ into doing this. So we were chatting. I talked about Callie, my dog. He talked about Callie, his cat. Suddenly he grew up in Torrance. And then he says, oh yeah, my parents split up and I stayed with my dad and the rest of your siblings went back to the Philippines with your mom. Is that correct?
Oh,
or no,
we came from the Philippines. Yeah, we left the Philippines, me and my dad. Yeah, we literally just left. I was a clueless kid. I was just I was a yes kid. I was I was literally okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. Yeah, I'm down for whatever. I didn't know what the hell was happening. At the time, I was just clueless.
Where are you in the birth order?
I am the youngest on my dad's side. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm the youngest on my mom's side, but I'm the second youngest on my dad's side.
Okay, so your dad had another kid after you?
Yeah, I have a half little sister.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I think the youngest is often the yes kid. Because when you arrive, things are really busy and you're just like, how do I fit in? How do I not make too many, right?
I was actually an accident too. I was an accident. I was made in Hawaii. Yeah.
They have just a little too much fun in Hawaii.
Unintentionally made in Hawaii, and my parents were already split up at the time, and they were just fucking. They just, I don't know. They were just you know what? Okay, maybe we can, and then boom, here I am.
Oh man! But then they stayed together for another 4 years after you were born.
No, they were friends. They're friends. They're good friends. They stayed as friends.
That's a miracle.
I'd visit her.
So great.
I'd go back and forth between my mom and my dad when I was here, as a kid in the Philippines. I'd just visit my mom, go back to dad, visit mom. It was just a whole lot of transferring back and forth.
Yeah. So you got some losing it stories to tell, right? I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
There's a book. I can't believe I can't remember the author's name, but they made it into a movie called About a Boy. Might be Tobias Wolff, might be the author, but I'll figure it out. It's called About a Boy. They made it into a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. But it was a memoir first. And this is a true story about two sons. The parents divorced. The mom took one son. The dad took the other son. And About a Boy is the one who went with the mom. But here's this. These two brothers, the other brother became a writer too, and he wrote a memoir about growing up with dad. So both these brothers grew up to be writers and told these parallel stories of one being with the mom and one being with the dad.
Whoa,
Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I have to say, the movie is really good. Leonardo DiCaprio
and Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. And Ellen Barkin. So good. And a little chilling. I mean, let's face it. Nobody writes a memoir about a happy childhood. So,
Actually,
but a very good.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right
yeah.
on.
I'm going to write for 500 pages about how everything was great for me. My parents stayed together. They loved me. They gave me a lot of self-confidence and self-esteem. That's like one paragraph. That's the end of your memoir.
That's the period right there. That's done.
So we're going to get to know EJ more and more. You guys are going to get to know him as I get to know him, which I'm excited about. And but I think right now, I think it's time for us to introduce our guests. Bring us back to the whole vegan thing. I found this woman, Pam Ahern, online because she is the founder and the director of Edgar's Mission, which is a not-for-profit sanctuary that provides safe haven for farm animals. Probably more than that, but we're going to learn more about her. So I had to pester her to get her to come on because I was like, I love what they're doing. I'm so excited about it. And she's coming to us all the way from Australia, guys. So that's kind of cool. So take a listen. So guys, like I spoke about a little bit earlier, I am so happy and excited that I feel like I kind of like bullied my guest into coming on because I contacted her organization a couple of times because I love what they do. I'm so moved by it. I'm so inspired by it. And she's coming to us all the way from Australia. Hello. Thank you, technology. And she is the founder and director of Edgar's Mission, which is a nonprofit organization that is a sanctuary for farm animals, but really all animals. And I'm so excited. Her name is Pam Ahern. And thank you, Pam. Hi.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. And sorry about the few technical hitches. I can assure you I am much better at looking after animals than I am at getting technology happening.
Yes, and that's okay because I did not have you on for your technology expertise. I had you on because, I've been vegan. It'll be 2 years in November since I've been vegan, and I have always been an animal lover. But once I went plant-based, once I made that decision, once I stopped ignoring what was going on and compartmentalizing all of that stuff, I became much more interested in plant-based. I found people coming into my Instagram and my TikTok feed and on my YouTube channel, and Edgar's Mission popped up. And I was so moved by what you guys do. So tell me a little bit about Edgar's Mission. And I mean, I think Edgar is a pig. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, Edgar is the first pig who really came into my life, and he tugged me in the direction that I couldn't have imagined. I've got to try and hold back a little bit here because a lot of it does link into my losing it story. But like yourself, a lifelong animal lover, really passionate about animals from a small child. I think it was the embodiment of my parents. My mum loved animals. My dad loved animals as well. But my dad was also involved in the law, and that legal mind, that sense of justice came in me. And I think the two of them married together and made me who I am today. Heaven help the world. But it is, I often think when I go to bed at night, gosh, I wish I could swap my conscience for someone else's, because she'll wake me up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning with an idea, thinking, I'm just going to sleep. But it is that questioning and actually asking ourselves, are we doing right? We can do all sorts of things to the world, but at the end of the day, we go to bed with our conscience. We have a few cats and dogs in the bed as well, and occasionally a little piglet in my instance, but it's our conscience that we do go to bed with, and we can never escape our conscience, asking us, are we doing right? And I think that's a wonderful, really way to be in the world, to ask ourselves, are we doing right? And that's something that only each individual can ever answer, because what might be right for me mightn't be right for you or the next person. But if we can do what's right by our conscience, I think that's a pretty good place to be.
That's a great place to be. Do you have merch that says that on it? Because if you don't, do that immediately. Are we doing right? Are we doing right? Are we doing right is such a good question. And yes, what's right for someone else may be right for, for somebody else. Like we do have our own, we all have our own moral compass. We all have our own priorities and all that. But I love that. I think that's beautiful. And is that something that you had for as far back as you remembered? Like, were you that kind of a kid? Were you a kid that like was maybe looking at the world in a different way than maybe your peers?
It's funny you say that. I always thought I was a little bit different, but I guess everyone's different. Thank God we are. Gosh, if the world was full of Pam Aherns, we'd be in trouble and there'd be no chocolate around. But I did always question, and I think that questioning has been a part of me. That love of animals, that trying to understand, what's going on around us, and kids do have an incredible thirst for knowledge, but sadly a lot of that is quelled from a young age. We're told, well, it's always the way it is. I remember, when the subject of eating animals came up, and that was the way of the world. Although I remember my sister and I, for terribly selfish reasons, that my mother cooked rabbits for us once when we were small children, and my sister and I refused to eat them. Sadly, it wasn't on ethical grounds. It was we were terribly concerned that the other rabbits would know that we've just eaten the Easter bunny, and we were going to cop out when it came Easter time.
So it seems like perhaps for you, Pam, all roads lead back to chocolate. Is that true?
Chocolate does get me through a lot. Yeah, chocolate does get me through a lot.
It's
I've got to cut back on that. Maybe that's something I need to lose. But it's really interesting you say that, because why do I like chocolate? Because it makes me feel good. And I think that's really who we are as a species. We want to feel good. And what makes us feel good? And I think one of the most important things that makes us feel good is kindness. When you are kind, you cannot help but get that helper's high. Not only the recipient of your kindness will benefit, but you as well. Just walk down the street. No, it's a bit hard for us in Australia wearing masks, but even just smiling at someone, it makes them feel good, and then you feel good as well. Make sure you don't do it in a creepy way, because that'll get you arrested. But
right. But and I know it's funny, because I'm definitely that kind of a person. I'm that kind of, I am a person who's like, oh my God, I love your shoes, or where'd you get that hat, or whatever. I'm friendly and just I like to connect, right? It's part of the reason I do podcasting. So I think that's interesting to go back to that thing of, yes, chocolate makes us feel good. And I think chocolate actually replicates something in your brain that being in love does. So that's one of the reasons we love chocolate so much. And there's nothing like kindness and giving. When one gives, one gets. And that's okay. It's okay. We don't have to be completely altruistic. It's okay to have that. What, I should know this, but what part of Australia are you in, Pam?
So we're in Victoria, which is in the southeastern side of the country. We are in a little town called Lancefield, and it's sort of what we'd say central Victoria, in a beautiful part of the world. It's the Macedon Ranges. So we have a beautiful mountain range not far from us. We have a lovely area called Hanging Rock, or it's better known as the Aboriginal name is the Georgines. And it's this incredible rock formation, which you can actually see some of it from our sanctuary. It's a really, really picturesque part of the world, and it wasn't always my home here, although I think it is my home I was meant to find, and I think we're all trying to find our way home. We came here coming up to 8 years ago. It is the second location of the sanctuary. Our first location was in Willowmaven, and the nearest town to us was Kilmore. And I mean, really, what was I thinking when I started an animal sanctuary in a town called Kilmore? Didn't think that.
Yeah, we got to rethink this, Pam. We got to rethink
it's really funny, because the nearest town to us now is Kyneton, which is Kind Town. So I think that's sort of there's a message there. But that was really by default. That was where I lived at the time, and I had a wonderful equestrian career, the kid that loved animals and loved ponies and wanted a pony, and became an equestrian and quite successful beyond anything I ever imagined as a child.
How fantastic. And you wrote English or Western?
English.
I guess if it's English, if it's equestrian, of course, and because even though there's this sort of, certainly Australia has a cowboy element, it's, you guys have the UK in your background. So of course you're going to write English. And did you jump? Did you do dressage? What kind of equestrian stuff did you do?
It was what we call saddle horses. Sort of people say, "Oh, is it dressage?" Oh, a little bit like dressage. We sort of went around in circles, and when we got sick of doing that, we go around the other way. And then whoever did the best got a blue ribbon. That's probably an oversimplified version of it. It was actually quite involved. And as a small child, as soon as I saw a pony, I wanted a pony, an animal on a back who a young girl could climb and be taken to places that you can only ever dream of going. But we were city folks, and we weren't particularly well off. And my mum always said the worst thing you can say to Pam is the absolute worst thing is you can't. And it wasn't because I was a belligerent child, one of those little annoying kids. Far from it. I was actually the God you never actually heard a peep out of. But I loved a challenge. I loved a challenge then as I love a challenge now. That indefinable moment when you say to yourself, what if? So the intrepid 5-year-old that I was went and got my scooter. My mother wouldn't even let me have a bicycle because they were way too dangerous. So, the horse was not going to happen for a while. Took the wheels off my scooter, grabbed a pair of my mum's pantyhose. I tied a tie to each end, and I fashioned this over the kitchen stool. And that was my saddle. And I rode clunkety, clunkety, clunk around the house for hours on end.
You rode on a makeshift saddle, but there was no horse. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, it was a stool. It was a stool. My poor mum, she got sick of all the noise that I made and not having any pantyhose. So she took me down to the local pony club. And that's where my relationship with larger animals really began for this little city kid. We didn't have a big backyard or a big family budget to buy a pony, but that just desire to do something. And I got my wish for a pony beyond anything I could have imagined. As I said, I did become a very successful equestrian, winning national.
So
champion
when did you
titles.
get your pony? How old were you when you got the pony?
I think it was about 9 or 10 when I got my first pony, my own pony. Before that, it was going to riding schools on the weekend and nagging my mum to take me down there. And I just love being with the animals and those connections. And the funny thing with the success I did have with the horses, I think a lot of people thought, well, that was my dream to win lots of ribbons, but it never was. What I valued most, I actually wrote something about it the other day, is my greatest memories and treasures are those memories that I have with the horses, the connection of one with these little wayward thoroughbreds that have been discarded from the racing industry and people couldn't manage, and really getting inside that animal's head and getting the connection. I was like, flat out being 50 kilos then, and these animals are 500 plus kilos, and I'm sitting on the back calling the shots, and that is an incredible,
it's amazing
honor.
Yeah, I just want to jump in a little bit because first of all, I grew up on Rocking Horse Road, and I grew up in one of the biggest horse communities in California. And there was Rocking Horse Road, there was Surrey, there was Bridle. It was a horse community, and every third house in my neighborhood had a horse. And I briefly had a horse whose name was Pony. Don't ask me why and he was a pinto, but he was a full-size horse. And I did some riding, very lucky enough to do some riding, not your level, but I just want to stop for a moment because I agree with you. Horses are so amazing. There are these huge creatures that say, yeah, sure ahead, climb on, I'll take you somewhere. They don't have to let us ride them. I mean, I feel like the relationship between animals and humans is beautiful and profound, but there's something particularly gorgeous about, like you said, the big animal, the horse who lets you ride them. And so I just wanted to say I'm right with you there. I grew up in a horse community. I grew up loving horses, and I think that's fantastic. But so you continued to do equestrian up into being an adult, correct?
I did. And it's really funny because as a small child, and I'm going to try and live the spoiler alert here into my listening story, I always thought that would be where I would be. I thought I would die in the saddle as a 99-year-old lady who got wiped out under a tree because a pony went under there too fast. But I realize now that he was just a stepping stone to get where I am today. And the latter part of my career in the equestrian, it's there was so many questioning about what I was doing and what was happening around me, and there was a lot of money in the sport, and I don't think I saw ethics that I didn't really agree with, and that was really hard when it's something that you really love and you're passionate about. And it was, for a lot of people from the outside, it was just this quest for prestige and winning blue ribbons, and really not asking, well, what's in it for the horse? And I thought that was terribly sad. I never went into it being a professional. I had a lot of people wanting me to train horses, and I just never felt comfortable with it then, and now I understand why, because it wasn't who I am and who I was meant to be. But I learned so much about horses. I learned so much about animal behaviour. But most importantly, I learned so much about myself and what I was capable of. This little kid who someone once said, "Oh, you're never going to be a good writer. You're too short." Well, that's the challenge. That's a challenge for me, and not to say right. To prove them wrong.
They made the mistake to say you can't. They made don't say to Pam you can't, because she's like, want to make a bet? Yeah, I think I can.
and to see how far I could go and what I could achieve. And that was incredible. And I just think I hope that gives hope for people in different walks of life. Just because you mightn't have the means to achieve your dreams or your goals, you should never give up on them, because they're yours and no one can ever take that away from you.
Yeah, and I think that I so appreciate that. And I think that when we have a dream, we don't necessarily need to know the how. We can focus on that dream, and sometimes the how presents itself to us. If we're looking at where we want to go, sometimes unexpected hows, solutions come to us all the time. Now, you were saying you're a mom. You're saying you have kids?
No, I'm not a mom. Yeah.
I have
kids. I have 4 or 5 little kids at the moment, but they're of the caprine kind, not the human kind. So
do you have siblings? Did you grow up with siblings?
I had an older sister. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And was she as much into animals as you?
So you've got the two spectrums. Then there's me, and then there's my sister. And my hands as wide apart as they could possibly
be. And were you close in age?
She was a couple of years older than me, but I think that was probably as close as I ever got.
Yeah.
For some reason, and you look back and I don't know why, but I was always a very shy child. My parents divorced when I was very young, but I think even before then I was always very reserved and was very resourceful. And there's a lovely quote that probably defines my life. If it is to be, it is up to me. And I just from a very early age, I became very resourceful. I think looking back now, I think the divorce probably impacted me more than I realized. And
absolutely. When you're 4 and my parents separated when I was 10 and divorced when I was 11. And I, at the time, thought, if I was young, this would probably really affect me. But I didn't think I was young at age 10. But yes, when your family explodes, I know that's a dramatic word to use, but when you go from having this family unit to not having that family unit, or the family unit being very hugely redefined when you're 4, certainly that has.
So I was older than 4. I'm might have been about 10 or so when that happened. Sorry, older than that. But it did that, struggling to understand, and I look back now and like, yeah, there were cracks, but you just think, well, that's your family, and you think it's normal that, the folks don't eat together and those sorts of things. And, but actually that's not the way families are, but that's the way ours were.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I am, well, if it's going to happen, I've got to do it. And that's the way I've sort of gone through life. And really, and my dad was he was a businessman as well, and he was probably harsh, and maybe I look back now and maybe he recognized that I was very soft-hearted and he wasn't always going to be around to look after me, and he wanted me to be tougher and be resourceful. And he always said, he used to call me Itzy, and Itzy, you got to make your own way in the world. You can't expect other people to pay for you, and that really stuck with me, that I've never had anything on labour. I don't have a credit card. If I haven't got the money for it, I don't get it, save up, and I always try and get the best I can get. I don't just get something cheap. I'll go without to get something better down the track. And that even came into play when Edgar's mission started. I didn't expect people to pay the way for Edgar's mission, and I would start to go and do outreach events on my own and with my fig, and people would come up and talk to me about what I was doing, and they were really touched by what I was doing, and they would want to give me money. And of course, I never had a donation box on the table because I didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable, because I remember reading many, many moons ago that people will forget what you say, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. And I didn't want to make people feel pressured to give me money or that I was begging, so I didn't have a donation box there. But people would want to give me money, and I'd be going, oh, no, please don't leave yourself short. Like, I don't know, we really love what you're doing.
What's so funny? Yeah, but you know what's so funny, Pam? It's like what you were saying earlier on is that how great it feels to be kind, and when those people give to you, they get to feel good that they're giving money to something that they know is important. So it's like, learning to be able to receive is a lesson, right?
Yeah, I'm madly nodding my head in agreement with absolutely what you're saying, because I could see then how much it meant for people to be able to support it. I can't do what you're doing, Pam, but by me donating, we are making it happen. And I thought, wow, so then, because I felt really dodgy putting the money in my pocket. Obviously, it all went to animals. But so then I actually got a donation jar and I put it on the table, and people started putting money in to actually help its mission grow, literally like Edgar Allan Pig grew and grew and grew. The sanctuary grew and grew. And it was only because people were kind and people believed in me. And that was something that I don't take lightly then or even now. The little old lady that gives us $5 or the $5,000, that's someone saying, I believe in you. Wow.
I believe in you. I believe in you. Now, we're about 1 minute away from me being able to say, I can't wait to hear your Losing It story. How long has Edgar's mission been around? How long has it been around now?
2003. We started in 2003.
Wow.
Was when Eddie trotted into my life. Yeah.
Wow. And I would here's what I've been experiencing lately in the world. And I started feeling it even before I became a vegan. I feel like there's a switch. I feel like there's a change happening in awareness. I feel like there's a heart opening. Have you been experiencing? Do you feel that as well? Because you are. Okay, I'm so glad to hear that.
I do. That is what gets me up every single day. People often say, "How do you keep going when there's so much sadness in the world?" I said, because there's hope. There's hope. The sun coming up every morning is a reminder that there's light after the darkness, and that is why we keep going.
Yeah, and there are, as I go more and more into this world and have the opportunity to speak to you, and I have had a couple of some animal rescuers on the show. I had a wonderful man who is saving seals, one seal at a time in Namibia, that have garbage around their necks, or these kinds of one person he started that. You started this. Zach Scow started Marley's Mutts. One person is going out there and they are making a difference. And that's happening more and more. And I will say the advent of social media allows that to happen, because I found you. I found you on Instagram, and I just was like, oh my God, she's amazing. They're amazing. How can I help? What can I do? So having said all that, I understand that you have a Losing It story for me, and I am very eager to hear it.
Well, you just gave me a beautiful segue into that when you talked about what's happening in the world today, because I think one of the tragic thing is that we as a society have lost quite a bit of our humanity. We have become desensitized to the suffering of others, and those others don't necessarily have to take the human form. For me, it is animals that have had my passion, but I'm remembering too that humans are animals too. We are all a part of the animal kingdom, not apart from it. And just that simple reminder is something that we need to think about. So my Losing It story started probably in 2003. with the arrival of Edgar Allan Pig. Now, he came about as a quirky idea for a photo shoot. We were highlighting our flawed animal protection laws. So most people like me, they grew up loving animals and caring about animals in the natural world. And it's enshrined in legislation that we acknowledge that animals can suffer. In Australia, it's called the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. I'm sure you've got something similar in the States. So the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act enshrines in legislation that we know animals can suffer. We don't have the prevention of cruelty to computers or the prevention of cruelty to cars or bicycles because they're inanimate objects and they can't suffer. But animals can. Awesome. Hashtag winning. But then as I grew older and became more aware and started to question what was happening in the world around me, I realized that when it comes to animals, we really have been guilty of playing favourites. We don't treat animals on their ability to suffer or their desire to experience the world or their magic or even hang out with their friends. We treat animals on the way they look. We treat animals on the desired use we have of them, and we treat animals on how familiar we are with them. Nothing to do with who they are.
Right.
And how has that happened? Like, we have this piece of legislation that says we can't do this, we can't do that. In Australia, we have these things called codes of practice. We have codes of practice for every animal who's farmed for food or fibre. In the absence of those codes of practice, what we're doing to farm animals would be illegal. In 2003, those codes of practice were being reviewed for pig farming. And this is one of the things that makes, I think, our country so great, is that the legislation doesn't drive public thought. It reflects public thought, so it can change. So we had an opportunity to change this legislation, and pigs were very high on the agenda. But how do we create awareness? How do we get media awareness? I was working with Animals Australia at the time, which is the pig, awesome animal protection body in Australia. And we needed a pig for a photo shoot. James Cromwell happened to be in Australia at the time.
Oh, babe.
So, yeah, and he's
babe,
just the most incredible human being. So we got James, we got the pig, we did the photo shoot, went enormously well. James wanted to do an action on the steps of Parliament House, so he was going to walk up Parliament House with Edgar by his side.
And I'm going to slow you down. I'm going to slow you down a little bit, Pam. So is he an animal rights person? Is he an animal lover?
James
by
Cromwell?
nature?
Absolutely. And it was just, Babe had a profound effect on James, and he couldn't eat his fellow co-stars. He's a passionate vegan. He does a lot of work in America for animal protection.
Oh, my God, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's a legend. But the other thing is he does a lot of work for American Indians that have been displaced off their land, which just goes to show that caring for animals and caring for humans is not mutually exclusive. He is an amazing human being, and I was so deeply touched to meet this man who is so incredibly humble and gentle, and I just have the most enormous respect.
If there's anyone who's listening who has not seen the movie Babe, I was lucky enough to watch it when my kids were young, and we had it. We owned it on VHS, to tell you how old the movie is. And James Cromwell plays this farmer. Oh, he's brilliant in it. It's a brilliant film. I would say it's brilliant. Babe is the pig, and there's sheep in it, and there's a cat in it, and there's a goose in it that's going to be a duck, I think, that's going to be eaten for Christmas. I mean, it's this beautiful movie, so smart, so funny, so sweet. And if you've never seen it, go immediately and find out where it's streaming. I'm sure you can watch it on all platforms. And I did not know that it changed his relationship to food and relationship to pigs, because his co-star is this pig named Babe, who is so lovable. And so he's stopped eating meat as a result.
Yeah,
is that correct?
He's does a lot of work on behalf of animals to protect them, and I think he's done a lot with the Sea World campaign against the captive animals as well. Like, it's just really incredible. This man who gains nothing from. He's even been gone to jail as a result of his beliefs to protect animals. So I think that's really
I love him.
Incredible.
I love him so much. I loved him before, and now I
got even more
adore
reasons.
him. Yeah.
Yes,
so you
lovely.
get James down. You get James involved, and you need this pig for the photo shoot.
Yep.
And
yep.
How do you find Edgar Allan Pig?
Edgar is actually from a pig farm. He was meant to be bacon, but he had no idea of it. And at that stage, I was already a vegan. But I often say with Edgar, it is like, someone will tell you that the fire's hot. Until you put your hand in the fire, you don't know how hot the fire is. Don't do that. Just, it's true. But, I'd heard pigs were intelligent and they were clean and they were quirky animals. Oh, my gosh. I had no idea how intelligent, how fun-loving, how incredibly clean they were. Honestly, if my horses were half as clean as Edgar, I think I would get 20 years back on my life cleaning out their stalls every day. Pigs will not urinate or defecate where they sleep, given a chance. They'll hang on. Honestly, I swear that was one big bladder happening in there when I would let it get out for pee. Just stand there whistling away and he'd be peeing away. He would just hang on. He didn't want to urinate. And then my heart breaks for those pigs on factory farms where they have no opportunity to go outside and have they will designate a toilet area. They were forced to lie in their excrement and that of other pigs. What have we done? We've lost our humanity. We've lost our humanity. We need to get it back. So moving on with my losing it story. So at the time Edgar came into my life, I thought I was having a pretty good life. I was riding my horses. I had a full-time paying job. I had a partner, had a normal life and pretty much clean clothes all the time. And with it, seeing Edgar in my life and realizing that he just got lucky. Like he just got lucky living his life that he was going to live.
Yeah.
But the ones
so
that
when
were
was the
behind,
first? Wait. I want to slow you down because I'm a storyteller and I want to be there with you. What was the first moment you saw Edgar? The first, did he come off a truck? Did you go to the farm? Did someone bring him to you? The moment you first saw this little precious angel.
It was love at first sight, but unfortunately it wasn't reciprocated. So it was in the back of a pub in country Victoria. Someone who worked on the pig farm had got Edgar for him. I paid $50 for Edgar, so it was my pig, a legal pig. And I remember that they passed him over to me. It was almost like a bit of this drug deal went down this dodgy
right.
Instead
of a drug deal, you got the pig. I got the pig.
We're talking about the pig, and then we go out the back of the pub, and they pull the pig out of the back of their van, and they grab him by his back legs, and they pass him over to me. And she said, no, this is how you hold the pig. And I'm thinking, oh, my God. And I'm thinking, the poor pig holding by his. No, this is how you hold them. You pick them up and their hocks lock and they're fine and they won't scream. And I'm standing there holding the pig as well. Like, this is pretty gross, but this is what the person who works with the pigs told me. And it didn't take me long to realize.
So just holding. So you've got him they're holding him by the hind leg. So he's just hanging upside down.
Yeah,
and is he still a baby pig or is he a big pig? How big is he?
He's only about 5 kilos. He's a tiny little piglet. He's a tiny little piglet. And something in time he was just saying this is wrong, and this is how you stop them screaming. And you see pictures of people in pig farms, and they pick them up by their back legs, and they stop screaming, but they stop screaming because they're absolutely scared. They're scared beyond belief. And over the years, I actually found the best way to hold a pig. And it's in your goddamn heart. That's where they should be. Not further south in your stomach, not on the end of your hand hanging by the leg, to hold them in your heart. And that's really has become my life's mission, is to teach people how to hold a pig. So
let me just tell you that I'm so glad that I have my tissues next to me, because you're getting me. For those of you who do not know how to convert kilos to pounds, 5 kilos is about 11 pounds. So we're talking like the size of a cat, right? So you've got this little baby, beautiful. Was he pink?
Yeah.
Was he a little pink angel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you get Edgar, and what comes next?
So I had the pet carrier all lined with straw. He was covered in pig poo. Absolutely stunk to high heaven. I had my little dog. I had this little Chihuahua cross rescue dog with me, little E.T. And E.T. was so excited. I don't know who was more excited, E.T. or me. Edgar wasn't excited. E.T. and me, we're over the moon. So Edgar went in the pet carrier, had all this straw in the back there, and I'd given him this apple, and he put the apple in with Edgar and drove home. And I was singing. I was ecstatic. And little E.T.'s running around the little pet carrier with Edgar, and poor Edgar's in there. And I got home. I was so excited with my little pig. And the photo shoot with James Cromwell was the next day. So my task was to clean him up because he was covered in pig poo. So into the house I go. My mum was living with me at the time, and we were trying to, wash Edgar and clean him. That was our first lesson in how to hold a pig 101. And pigs, they're so intelligent. They are so intelligent. And when we were washing him, he didn't like it. He was getting upset. And we pigs get upset, they fart. And their farts are pretty rank. And here I'm like trying to wash this pig.
That's their superpower. I'm just going to fart.
It's pretty super. And we washed him. We got him all nice and clean. He didn't want me. He didn't have a bar of me. He loved E.T. though. He would follow E.T. everywhere. And it was actually quite funny because I mean, how am I going to pull this photo shoot off the next day with James and the pig when the pig hates me? Anyway, I put the harness on before we got there.
How could you tell he hated you? How could you tell he hated you?
Just wanted to run away from me, screamed. And
right.
And when you think about it, well, all his interactions with humans up until that point hadn't been kind.
Right. Why would he like you?
We were just another prey animal who was washing him. But he loved little E.T. He followed E.T. everywhere. So we got down to the location of the photo shoot and I had the harness on. He's walking around the backyard. E.T.'s following me. So Edgar's following E.T. And James and the photographer go, wow, you've had this pig less than 24 hours and you've taught him to walk on a lead. This is incredible. Like, you're an amazing woman. And I think, got a bit carried away with my own success. And James said, I know. He said, we'll do an action on the steps of Parliament House in Melbourne. I'll walk up the steps of Parliament House leading Edgar. We'll call on the Minister for Agriculture demanding a better deal for pigs. Yes. This is amazing. And then I've got back to the car and thought, oh, my gosh. Now I've really got to teach the pig to walk on a lead and get him to like me. E.T. was a great ally in helping that happen. So I'd go down to the local park in Kilmore and I'd have my little dog one side and my little pig the other side, and we were walking. And then people were stopping their cars. They were lining up, coming from everywhere to marvel at Edgar and his unique brand of pigginess. And that got me thinking that the very best ambassadors for changing the way people think about the animals or farm for food and fibre were the animals themselves. While I could speak to people's heads, Edgar oinked his way into their heart, reminding them that's where pigs need to be. And that's really how the sanctuary grew. I didn't really have an idea of getting Edgar and starting Edgar's mission. It was just for this photo shoot. And I thought, well, I'll keep the pig afterwards, got a property, can live on. But just that profound experience in the park, watching Edgar's ability to so humbly change hearts and open minds to a kind of view of these animals just by simply being who he was. So I was to lose my full-time paying job by my own volition, quit my full-time paying job, said goodbye to my partner of 10 years when they posed the question, it's me or the pig, but that was probably a pretty easy one, so I lost them. Hang up the boots of my successful equestrian career.
It's me or the pig? Why would anyone say that?
Well,
but I guess. Go ahead, go.
They did me a favour. They did me a favour, honestly. That was probably the easiest decision I ever made. But I hung up the boots of my successful equestrian career. Said goodbye to that, so I lost that. Said goodbye to ever having a normal life because I didn't want to get to be 85 and say, what if? What if I had have tried that thing? So here I am, nearly 20 years into the sanctuary, and still doing it. And I haven't lost my mind. I think I've gained so much more along the way. And in losing those things, I've exchanged it for something far, far greater, far greater. And one of those was the incredible relationships and wonderful memories. Eddie sadly passed along just after his 7th birthday party, but he is always, always with me. He's at the front of the sanctuary. He has a little memorial there. There's on his a wood-carved pig with wings, and he keeps an eye on me every day. And I
when did Edgar pass? When did he pass?
In 2010, which is a while ago now.
So you had so how many? Years. So was it 7 years with him?
Yeah,
That's
7
fantastic.
years we had together, and it was the most incredible 7 years where I learned so much, changed my worldview. Although a lot of people, knew me as an animal lover, they think they're not surprised I am. I really am surprised that I've ended up here because, as I said, I always thought I would be with the horses, which they're still always in my heart. But this is where I need to be. And there's a wonderful quote that says, I may not have gone where I needed to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be. And that really does sum up my life perfectly because I have found so much more here, so much more.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much, Pam. That's so So great. I'm happy for you. I'm inspired by you. I'm moved by you. I was definitely one of those people that made my decision about what I ate and how I felt about animals based on what they looked like. Absolutely. Absolutely. I did not eat mammals starting in 1975. So when I was 19 years old, I stopped eating mammals, but I continued to eat, I continued to eat chicken and fish and all the dairy products. And I did not eat ducks. I ate chickens because they weren't cute. I didn't eat ducks because they were cute. I mean, I'm so embarrassed to admit that. But I want to admit it because I want people to stop and look and think about how the choices we make and how we make them. And this idea that I thought about being vegan for a very long time before I became vegan. And it was hard. I could never give up milk. I could never give up cheese. Really? Yeah, I think you can. It's not that hard. And it's especially not hard now because there are so many foods out there that replace all these things that kill animals. Or if you're not killing the cow that's giving you the milk, the life that cow has and the calves that they kill so that cow will continue to give milk. So I'm pretty low key on this podcast about my veganness, but I believe I'm going to start to get maybe a little more radical about it. So thank you for that beautiful story. And let me ask you a question. Because I loved what you said about, what was that last quote about where you were supposed to be and ending up? Can you give me that quote again?
I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be.
And thank you so much for that. If you were going to give someone advice who was maybe thinking of doing something different, like you thought you were going to die in the saddle, and yet here you are over here, and you took that leap, and someone was thinking of maybe staying on the same road or maybe taking a left turn, what advice would you give to them?
Have the courage to follow your heart and stand up for something, because chances are when you do, there'll be a cast of thousands just waiting for someone to step forward to follow. One of the lovely stories I love to tell the kids is The Emperor's New Clothes, where the child was the only one who had the courage to stand up and say, hey, the Emperor's wearing no clothes. And that's what's happening in our world today. We know what's happening to animals. It's. I think the most important thing is the way that we convey that message, and we do it with non-judgmental. We do it with non-judgmentalness. We do it with kindness. We do it with compassion, and we do it with love. And I think you mentioned there about how you feel guilty for what you did, and I look back and I think, well, I used to eat animals and the things I used to do, and there's so many things I don't do now. Like hey, we can always change. I used to wet my bed when I was a kid. Hey, I don't do that now because I realized that wasn't a good idea. And it's actually coming to it's coming to that realization yourself, not having it thrust upon you, guiding people, giving people the information and allowing the goodness of the human heart to shine through. And it will shine through. It's the most profound of organs in our body, and to give it a chance to shine. And we can find the best of humanity in the darkest of places. We've had abattoir workers who've come to us with little baby goats and lambs that have been born on the slaughterhouse floor, and they didn't want those animals to die. That tells me that there's a spark of compassion in the darkest of places. In America, you've got Bob Commerce, who was a one-time pig farmer. He went into free-range pig farming because he thought it was a better deal for pigs, and then he realized the best way we can help pigs is to not eat them, and now he's a vegan who farms vegetables.
To not eat them.
He has had the courage. It's easy for you and I to go and buy something different at the supermarket, but when your livelihood depends on you doing these things to animals, and people make you shamed and make you feel embarrassed or belittle you, that is not going to set people up to want to change. It's just going to put the barriers up, and no one's going to want to enter into a dialogue.
Yeah,
we can't
I appreciate that so much.
I don't want another animal to die now. I don't want another animal to suffer. I don't want another act of cruelty to happen. But we live in the real world. People have said to me, if everyone went vegan now, what are you going to do with all the animals? Well, that ain't going to happen. But hey, what if you walk down the supermarket aisle?
ridiculous question.
It is,
I'm
but you
sorry.
get it all the time.
That
Like,
is
someone's
such a
never said
ridiculous-
it. But we can walk down a supermarket aisle and we have so many choices that we can make. What we put in that supermarket trolley and what we leave on the supermarket shelf is the biggest vote that we can make for a kind of world right now. Right now.
Absolutely. When I went vegan, I saw Forks Over Knives and I saw What the Health. I saw two documentaries about plant-based versus meat eating and about the meat industry and what it does to the planet, what it does to the animals, all of those things, what it does to our bodies, right? And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it for 60 days. I didn't say I'm going to do it forever. I said I'm going to do it for 60 days, which is what allowed me to do it. It's like, in AA, they say, I'm not going to drink just for today. If I can you not eat meat today? Can you not have dairy products today? Can you eat plant-based today? Try that. Don't say I'll never do it again, because guess what? I'm just 2 years short of doing it. And it's a fucking walk in the park. Pardon my language. It is not difficult. It is not hard. When I look back and I think I could never not have half and half in my coffee. I don't want to say I want to smack myself, but it's so unbelievably self-centered and it's so clueless for me to have said that, because you can do okay without coffee in your milk, because if you go, you don't even have to do a deep dive. If you do a shallow dive into what it looks like to be a dairy cow and the life that a dairy cow lives, you will not drink that half and half or milk or have that yogurt any longer, because you don't have to. All right. So I love that you're talking about it with love and compassion. And I think that's the way we have to do it, because judgment is not going to get us anywhere. Okay. We end with 3 questions, and I'm going to give them to you one at a time. Is there something you hope to lose in the next year?
Some weight.
Some weight. All right.
Put a few too many kilos.
Okay. I'm going to say ding. So be it. So it is. Is there something you hope to gain in the next year?
I'd like to gain some more hours in the day, and I'd like to gain some more bookshelves in my little cabin, because I need some more space to put on my books.
Okay. And last but not least, is there something you hope you never lose?
Never lose my compassion, despite so many reasons society offers for having a reason to lose my compassion. I hope I never lose it.
Thank you, Pam. You know what? You won't. You won't, because I see who you are and you're so heart-centric. And that's why I knew that I had to have you on the show. And I'm so grateful that you figured out the technology and that you shared your story with us. And guys, you can go to edgarsmission.org and donate. You can donate $5, $15, $20. Go and do that, because what Pam is doing is amazing and wonderful, saving animals, giving them a sanctuary, and she's changing the world one animal at a time. And you helping her helps these beautiful creatures. Thank you so much, Pam. And you can follow her on all the socials. I'm pretty sure. I know she's on Instagram. Are you on all the socials, Pam?
I believe so. I've got IT people, tech people. Yeah, we're there.
She's got her IT people. So go to Edgar's Mission, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube. Check her out and send her $5, and just for a week. Go plant-based. See how you like it. Pam, again, thank you so much. And when I come to Australia, I'm going to come and visit. I hope that's okay.
You better. We'd love to see you here, Nelsie. That'd be awesome. Thank you
know what I'm going to do?
much.
I'm going to bring you some chocolate.
Please.
Vegan chocolate, of course.
It's a given.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. I loved her. First of all, who doesn't love an Australian accent? Not to sound like a complete asshole, but I love that accent. Am I right?
Hey. Trying to pull it off too.
I'm not going to try.
Get my farn or nar,
Good night.
I'm sorry.
Right?
That was
No, I know. Someone should.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
I'm sorry.
We're bad. We're bad. We're gonna be canceled now, right? So she was great, wasn't she, EJ?
She was.
Oh my God!
The amount of compassion is overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Actually.
And could you see those little? Could you picture that little pig, that little Edgar? Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. So just guys, when you eat, instead of eating bacon, don't call it bacon. Call it dead pig, because the minute we call something bacon,
Ooh.
it's not right. If we call something a steak, what about dead cow? We want to remove ourselves from the reality of what we're doing, and the reality is that not only is eating meat bad for you physically, it's bad for the planet, and it's super bad for the animal that you're eating. So I'm going to go back to try it for a week. Or what if you just were plant-based for every Tuesday? Or Monday through Friday. What if you did that? Because even doing that, you're saving animals' lives. And you're doing great stuff for the planet. And you're doing great stuff for your body. Pig farming is one of the most harmful things for the planet of all the things we do. Pig farming is one of the worst. Just saying. Now that EJ's my co-host, because I made him, we might start doing letters again, but we might not. But the point is, rate, review, and subscribe, guys. Tell your friends. When you subscribe, it really matters. It moves us up in the iTunes list. And when you rate, it's so super easy. You just click on that 5 stars. And if you like us, just do two sentences. I love losing it because I love Nelsie's lipstick. I don't know, but write something and tell your friends.
Tell them all. Tell them
all. Stop strangers in the street. All right. And I believe that even though my co-hosts come and go, my producers come and go, I now have EJ here with me, and I still want to end the podcast by begging all of you, don't poop in the ocean.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. You came and you listened to the story. I hope so much that it didn't make you sorry, and I hope so much that you'll come back again.
Losing It, hosted by Nelsie Spencer, produced by me, Ronnie Whaley. Theme song by Hunter Williams. Follow us online on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all podcasting platforms at Losing It Podcast. Viewers can email Nelsie with questions or comments about life, writing, comedy, or even your own Losing It story for a chance to be on the Losing It Podcast at losingitcontact@gmail.com. For everything Nelsie and everything Losing It, visit us at nelsiespencer.com.